Good morning, second grade, and welcome to language class. We have lesson 14 today, and it's about building sentences. Let's first of all do some review over here on the board. We have a friendly letter right here, and so we're going to put in some of the parts of the friendly letter. We have the heading and the greeting and the closing, where we need to put those in the right places, and we'll also talk about the rest of the places also in the friendly letter. So on the top we have the heading up here, and that's simply the date that you write the letter. And then here we put the greeting, and this will be the body, and this is the closing down here then, and also the signature. Okay, and so remember that you put commas after the heading and the greeting and the closing. So what words can you use to join two short sentences to make a compound sentence? Thinking about compound sentences, we use and, but, and or. That's the three words that we learn that we use to join compound sentences. Now, what punctuation do you need in compound sentences? Don't forget to put your comma in just before and, but, or. You put a comma in just before those words in a compound sentence. What is an antonym for big? Antonym for big, antonyms mean opposite. So an antonym for big would be little or small. What is a synonym for wet? Synonym for wet would be damp. Cold would be cool. Smooth would be even. Synonyms mean similar, so whenever you have synonyms, you find similar meanings. Give a sentence with the homophones for and for. So homophones hum alike, but they mean entirely different. So we have the word for, this word, and we also have this word. So we want to give a sentence for this word. Well, we could say, I went to town for cookies. So I went to town for cookies. And then we have this one, that for, well, that means the same as like a number 4. So we could say 4 ducks swam. So these we call homophones. Homophones, they hum alike, but they mean different. Okay, so let's now go into today's lesson. So today we have about building sentences. You can open up your language books to lesson 14, and we will read the teaching box there together. So it's building sentences. You have learned to build sentences by adding describing words to the noun. Sentences can also be built by adding phrases that tell where or when something happened. Like for this sentence, Tommy climbed, we add describing words to make it sound more interesting. So we would say, my little brother Tommy climbed. So my little and brother are all 3 describing words, and they make the sentence sound more interesting. So then we also add where to make it sound even better. So we would say, my little brother Tommy climbed up the tree. So up the tree tells where he climbed. And then we can also add when. My little brother Tommy climbed up the tree last night. So last night would tell when, and that makes it so that we know when he climbed up the tree last night. Okay, so let's look here on the board. So we have baby cried, and we want to add describing words and also tell when she cried. So we could say, the cute little baby cried when she bumped her head. So that makes it sound a little bit more interesting. Okay, so doesn't that sentence look a little bit more interesting now? We have more words in, and it tells us more about the baby, like she cried when she bumped her head, and also she was cute and little. And now we have here Lucy sang. So how could we make that sound a little bit more interesting? Well, we could say Lucy sang as she raked the leaves, so it tells what she was doing. And we can also add with that when she raked the leaves, so yesterday. So we could say Lucy sang as she raked the leaves yesterday. Okay, so that makes it look a little bit more interesting, and it tells us a little bit more about Lucy singing. And now here we have Marcus walked. So how could we make that more interesting or more details? We could say Marcus walked in the woods this morning. That tells us where he walked and when he walked. So we could say Marcus walked in the woods this morning. Okay, and I'm sure you have a lot of other good ideas that we could write in. It would be really interesting to talk some more about this, like as a class. But since you're at home doing your work, you can think really carefully. For part A, you can think really carefully of how you can make those sentences sound more interesting and put in describing words at the beginning of the sentence, and then tell when or where the thing happened. That will add more details to your sentence and make it sound better. Okay, let's review some phonics yet. So we have E-A-R, as in, it says as in pearl, and also C-K, or C-H says the K sound, as in school. So you have that in part B, where you will need to underline the words that have the K sound. So be careful to look for the CK words. Sometimes CK words say the K sound, or CH, I'm sorry. CH sometimes says the K sound, and EAR says the sound sometimes. Okay. You will need your little My Dictionary for part C again. So you can use that for part C. And part D will ask you questions. Let's go to part E. It's talking about pronouns. So do you remember what pronouns do? The job of pronouns is they take the place of nouns. So like I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. Those are all pronouns. So you will put an X on the pronouns in that part. And pronouns take the place of nouns. And then we have part F, where you will write compound sentences. And you will use the word in the parentheses. Remember to use a comma, and you would use a comma just before and, but, or, whichever one they want you to use there. They have it in parentheses. Be careful with the spelling in your sentences. Make sure you spell your words correctly. And then you also have part G, put quotation marks where they belong. Now remember, quotation marks curl around what people said, the exact words of the speaker. So be careful that you get quotation marks in the right places, right before they start talking and right after they're done talking. And then we also have penmanship. So today you have a sentence to write, and it says, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So you can do that, and you have learned all those letters in there. Be careful to have good posture as you write, and write as neat as you can, and also try to keep your pencil down down on your paper as you're connecting your letters. Like, try not to lift up your pencil too much. Okay, and then you have spelling last of all, where you unscramble the spelling words. And it would also be very good if you would do part J, to write the spelling words on another piece of paper. It gives you good practice so that next year when you come back to school, that you will know how to spell, but even better if you keep on with spelling your words in the spelling section. Okay, I think that's everything for our class today. You can go ahead and do your lesson, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Have a good day.